Hey guys, how you doing? And welcome to the Drone Zone. Today I'm going to be doing a review of the Quantum version 2 Pro goggles and GearBest's 5.8 gigahertz FPV goggles. I'm going to be sort of comparing the two, contrasting them, saying what I like and dislike about each one, and then hopefully helping you guys decide if you want to purchase one of these cheap ones, which one you would rather buy. So the Quantum is currently retailing about £25 on Hobby King, and the GearBest one is retailing about £32 I think, obviously on GearBest. So I'll leave a link to each of those in the description below so you can go ahead and check them out. So going to compare the two. The first thing you'll notice is the size. Obviously this GearBest one is probably about a half, maybe 2/3 smaller than the Quantum one, because the Quantum one is incredibly bulky. You'll notice it's very long. You can probably tell in the camera. Obviously you'll have the head here, but once it's on your head it's still very long compared to GearBest ones, and this really is kind of annoying, to be honest, for me. I know it's all to do with focal lengths and getting the optimum distance, but to be honest, you can focus in fine with GearBest's ones. They've got the Fresnel lenses in here that helps you focus fine on the screen in here. So to be honest, I don't really think you need that extra distance, although it does mean you can change. You've got about an inch or two to change the focal length of the lens that you've got inside there, so that does help. If you are slightly, whether you're using glasses or you've not got perfect vision, you might want to look at the Quantum because they've got better options for changing the lenses and changing the differences between them. So if focal length is going to be an issue for you, then I definitely suggest Quantum, because you've got a lot more maneuverability and customability there, as opposed to the GearBest ones where you've just got these standard Fresnel lenses and a fixed distance to the screen, so there's nothing you can really change with this. The focal length you see is what you get, and you can't really change that. So another thing with size obviously is going to be the weight. These ones are, I think, about 250 grams, and obviously they're very small. They're lightweight plastic. They've got a sort of stretchy neoprene strap and a bit of foam around the side of where you're going to put your eyes. The Quantum ones are a lot heavier, simply because they've got everything on there. They've got the battery, they've got the massive transmitter, and then obviously the glass lens that you can see inside there, that's glass, and I've got two of those in at the moment, so that's adding on even more to the weight, and then the monitor at the back. So all in all, I think this could be maybe, I don't know, just under a kilogram, I'd say, probably. So it's quite heavy, especially to be having it on your head. Although the battery pack at the back sort of balances it out, because you've got, oh sorry, that was my phone just going off. You've got weight at the back and at the front. So, I mean, the battery is a heavy component, so obviously that's going to try and balance out the weight some, but you've still got quite a little bit of weight on your head, and especially the only bit connecting it to your head is this nose piece here. That's going to be resting on the bridge of your nose, so you've got, say, about 600, 700 grams all resting on the bridge of your nose, more or less, which is going to be really quite heavy and a bit painful. So I've added on my own bit of foam there, which Quantum don't add on there, but I definitely suggest adding on there, because it is going to be a bit of a pain, especially if you're wearing these for, say, 20 minutes at a time. It's definitely going to start hurting your face. So yeah, all in all, for the weight and size, I'd definitely go for the GearBest ones, because they're a lot smaller, they're a lot lighter, they're very nice and free to have on your head. You can easily just lift them up and down if you want to quickly look about, or else you're flying your drone and you want to quickly take your FPV goggles off to check something. The Quantum ones are very much more bulky, like I said, a bit heavier, and obviously you can't really lift them up to look out underneath them without taking the whole thing off, because if you put that up above your head, it's just going to slide back down due to the weight. So if you're going to have any issues or anything with your flying and you need to quickly take them off, then you're just going to have to rip these off, as opposed to just gently lifting these up over your eyes. Okay, so the next thing is components. You'll notice there's a little receiver here, and that's because this has a built-in receiver into it, so you don't need to be buying anything externally. So long as you've got a camera and a transmitter, you can just buy these, and then you've got the built-in receiver. This is a 40-channel receiver, and it comes with a nice mushroom antenna, so you're going to get a longer range on there. So yeah, this is an excellent thing, just building the receiver into the goggles. I know Quantum have released a new version. I think it's called the Quantum Cyclops, where they've got the receiver built in, but I've not managed to get my hands on that. I think they're about £40 as well, so a bit more expensive than both of these, but hopefully I'll get my hands on a pair of those soon and I might be able to compare them. So you'll see the drawback with this is that it's got an absolutely tiny You can see the size of my finger here. There's no hope I'm going to be doing this with my finger. You're going to have to use either a very sharp knife or a very small screwdriver, and this is to change the frequency. It does come with a frequency sheet, and it tells you which ones of these should be up or down to relate to a certain frequency, so that's quite useful, but obviously it is incredibly small to do that. Whereas on this one, the Quantum, we get the we don't get the receiver, but we do obviously have the benefit of using our own receiver, and so we know what channels everything's on and how to change it easily, as opposed to the tiny little dials on here. So that's the drawback again with the Quantum, is that you don't get this receiver in. You have to buy that yourself, and also you don't get the battery. I've had to buy a little, well, rather big 1000 milliamp zippy compact battery to go in here with an XT60 plug connector on it. So the battery, if that's on screen, the battery and the receiver do not come with the Quantum, whereas everything comes with this, and you also get the battery here, which is a little 500 milliamp JST connector, and that just plugs straight in. You can get a bit of Velcro and attach this on the bottom or on the top or somewhere, so that is a bit slightly annoying that there's nowhere to actually house the battery, but you can attach it nicely to the goggles for quite cheaply as well. So components wise, GearBest wins because that obviously comes with the transmitter and the battery, whereas for this one you're looking to having to buy the transmitter and the battery, unless of course you already have the the receiver and the battery, in which case then I'd suggest getting the Quantum, because obviously it's going to be saving you money because it's cheaper than this, and obviously you don't need the receiver or the battery if you've already got them. So yeah, I definitely suggest getting the Quantum in that case. As in terms of screen quality, I'll plug these in now and show you a quick view from the camera. Okay, so that's all plugged in, and we're using our little Quantum Elite micro camera in there so we can get the video, and you'll be able to see here, it obviously looks quite blue on my camera, but in real life that's very true colours, and it looks quite nice. You can see, probably you can't see perfectly, but you can definitely tell the pixels on this. I think it's only about 300 by 200 odd pixels, so it's quite a low resolution on here, but it's still pretty decent. I mean, obviously being that close to your face, you're going to want it to be a higher pixel density, but I think this is probably about enough so that it's not too blurry or anything. You can still definitely contrast things. You can almost make out the Quantum writing on the just there. Well, you probably won't be able to see it on screen, but you can make that out with the camera. So it is, there are enough pixels on there, but obviously it's nowhere near HD, and it is going to be lacking. So if you're looking for something a bit more better quality, then I'd probably suggest getting the Quantum, because it's got a bigger screen. The Quantum is a 5-inch screen. I think the GearBest one is about a 4.3. So the Quantum is a bit more immersive. And again, it looks blue on my camera for some reason, but you can probably tell that that is looking like a better quality. And it's just a straight screen as well. It's not split in the middle like the GearBest one was with the 2 holes. This is just a straight viewing screen with no split. And I'd definitely say the quality on this is a lot better. I think it's about 800 pixels by 400 odd. So yeah, the Quantum definitely wins for screen quality, and is definitely a bigger monitor and a much nicer monitor. Although, to be honest, I've not done it yet, but I was thinking about possibly taking the monitor out of this, because you can see this has got hinges, and seeing if I could somehow attach the monitor into here. I'm not sure if it'd fit, but I probably would try that eventually, and then I'll let you guys know if that will be able to work. So another annoying thing about the Quantums is that you'll see I've mounted the receiver upside down, because you've got all the outputs and inputs here, and if that's the other way around, then this is like each of these is pressing on the floor, or whatever you rest it on, and just really bending and knackering the wires over time. So I decided to put it in upside down for a better thing, because then it's not even barely resting on the antenna, and to be honest, the antenna is very sturdy as opposed to these wires, which can easily fray over time. So I decided to put the antenna at the bottom instead, so it won't ruin the wires. The Quantum though has got a lot of different little housing things. So you'll see we've got one for the receiver. I've got a couple of cables in here. There's one on the top to put some cables in. There's another one on the side, so you can put a spare battery or some more cables in. And then obviously there's this one on the back. So the Quantum is quite good. There's a lot of different places to store things. You could probably maybe put your EasyCap device in here or something, or DVR if you're recording your flights. So And obviously there's absolutely nothing or nowhere to put anything apart from the USB fan in the top here. You can't really attach anything to the GearBest ones without sellotape or glue or Velcro. So Quantum is definitely best if you want to be attaching all your accessories on there, but obviously that is going to increase the weight, and the weight really is a problem for me for the Quantums. They're definitely, well, I'm not going to say too heavy, but they are quite heavy, and to be honest, I feel more free and able to fly. I know it sounds a bit daft, but it feels easier to fly with these on because there's not so much pressure on your head. You can just kind of move about freely, whereas the Quantums, they're very restricting. It makes you feel quite stiff, like you can't really move. So I definitely suggest the GearBest ones over that if you're going to have an issue with weight. So all in all, that was a very quick comparison between the two cheapest FPV goggles out there at the moment. I'm sort of leaning towards the side of the GearBest one, to be honest, simply because the bulk is a lot less than the Quantums. Like I said, it's about almost half the size of the Quantum, and obviously the weight is a lot less due to that as well. The battery life obviously is going to be a lot shorter because you've got a smaller battery, and you can obviously upgrade the Quantum battery quite easily and put a much more bigger battery in there. But you could also, I'd say, upgrade the battery on this, maybe get 1000 milliamp hour so long as it's the right voltage and a cell number. So yeah, I'd suggest probably getting the GearBest one if you're new to the sport and you don't have sort of the transmitters or batteries or receivers yet that you need for the Quantum. But if you have already got those and you're looking at getting a pair of FPV goggles, then the Quantum are definitely quite good. They're quite restricted because of the weight and the bulkiness, but for a first pair of FPV goggles for £25, then they're not that bad at all, especially if you've already got the receiver and the battery. Maybe you've got the Quantum or the GearBest ones already. Be sure to leave a comment if you do. Tell us what you like about it, what you don't like, and try and help other users who haven't bought them yet decide which way they're going to go. So I thought hopefully this is going to help some of you guys who are new to the sport or maybe getting into FPV and want to get a nice cheap pair of goggles. Hopefully it's going to help you decide which ones you want to get, possibly as your first pair. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time guys.